I haven't done this before, but I thought I would try it. I was walking around this morning and having bought some spring color at Kelly Green Nursery with curbside pickup. Color is fine, but this morning I was looking at all the textures of green in the garden. This is one of my favorite textures. This is Cryptomeria gluposa nana. It was supposed to be about 4 feet tall, but what I've learned since is that evergreens keep growing until they die. And so this could be a really huge plant. But gluposa nana has been wonderful. It's one of my favorites. And the cardinals nest in it every year, so I'm not the only one who likes it. And this unusual plant down here is ramie. Ramie is the plant from which fabrics are made, and some of you may have had some clothing that was made with ramie. It's really Boehmeria nivea, Boehmeria. Not that easy to find, but you might be able to find it on the internet. It's a perennial, it comes back every year. The foliage, I don't know how close I can get to the foliage to show you how beautifully pleated it is, but the texture is fabulous. Comes up every year, very reliable, mainly stays clean all year because I'm able to enter it in the fair in September, so it survives all summer. And underneath is the wonderful creeping raspberry, which adds so much texture in the spring and then turns greener as the summer goes on. But it is wonderful, and I love the way it spreads around. Sometimes it needs to be contained so that it doesn't take over the whole driveway. That would be a problem. This is a native clematis. This native clematis seeds around as well and tends to take over the garden. Because I have a difficult time killing anything that wants to live so much, that's such a vigorous grower, I just let it climb all over the conifers, and sometimes when I can get at the root, I pot it up and give it to other people. But these native clematis have the little purple blue bells that hang down, and it does flourish and come back every year. Oh, here come the peonies. Little color one won't be bad, but the peonies also offer a little respite as you go through the busy textures. You get to the wonderful peony, which is so still and green, and we'll have these gorgeous flowers very soon. I really like my conifers. We have about 46 different kinds of conifers in the yard, all of which were reputed to be dwarfs. Of course, none of them were. One of the things that was supposed to be a dwarf was this incredibly large, if you can see it, this very large conifer right next to the sidewalk was supposed to be a dwarf. Oh well, they lie, they all lie. None of these plants are dwarf if they're happy and healthy. This is one of the conifers that I planted very early in my gardening, and I like it very much, and it's become much more available in the trade. It's microbiota, has these big flat leaves, and they spread out in a very satisfying way. Of course, here the foliage is being punctuated by some wild aquilegia, which bloomed a little bit earlier in the spring. But now, of course, this microbiota has just spread all over. I have grown it in this fairly light location, but I've also grown it successfully in a very shady location in the back of the yard, where it seems to be doing even better. But this has been here for a long time. It's very satisfying. Very satisfying plant. Okay, close your eyes and I'm going to zip over here. Oh, this bed is pretty satisfying for texture. It has an underlaying of thyme. The thyme comes back every year. It's kind of an overcast day, so none of the blue-eyed grass actually is open. But yesterday it was beautiful in the rain of all things. Ajuga may be kind of a thug, but you know, I love the way it spreads. and it's easily discouraged when it comes in contact with other plants. The Blatia orchids are just about done, but they have spread into a nice patch over about the last 20 years, and they haven't caused any trouble. And in the summer, we just have the nice foliage. In spring, of course, many things have passed. A lot of the early daffodils and some of the small daffodils and jonquils have already gone by. Over on the other side, near the fish pond, it looks like the Sarracenia are coming into their own. These beautiful, beautiful plants that grow in the bog have these satellite kind of flowers. They have these gorgeous flowers that look like they're for alien beings. They've landed here from outer space. We just renovated the bog recently, so there aren't as many mature specimens as there used to be, but we will have them again. This bog is lined, and it is filled with 50% peat moss and 50% sand. It does have an overflow here behind the acorus, so that it doesn't fill up with water, but it does hold water very well, and these plants are pretty happy, as you can see. So I think that's all the tour for today, because it's only already over 6 minutes. So we'll take a tour of a different part of the garden tomorrow.